Hey everyone, we are the Good Doctors of Abbey Research. I'm Dr. Erin.
I'm Dr. Kristen.
If you've never joined us before, our names are always the same. And we're into week 5, possibly, of isolation, stay-at-home orders here in the state of Pennsylvania. And we're coping as best we can, which on any given day looks very, very different. But we're here to talk to you about a couple of ways in which we are coping, because that's pretty much all we have the energy to do on our YouTube channel, aside from our Good Doctors Diagnose series. And so last week we talked about music and audio and visual material that we were reading and listening to. Today we're going to talk about TV and video games, because that is probably, for both of us, the thing that we go back to most.
Yes.
So I watch a lot of television. Dr. Kristen
I play a lot of video games.
A lot of video games. So we're just going to have a few chats about what we've been watching and playing and see how it goes. So I think probably just based on our offline discussion, the thing we should talk about first is Tiger King.
Please, can we talk about Tiger King? So a quick background on me and my husband. We like reality TV a lot.
Mm-hmm. More than me.
Much more than Erin. Because we like the communal viewing experience that comes with watching really insane reality television. Now, like, we even did a couple seasons of The Bachelor for the communal aspect of it.
Yeah, I joined in as well. I definitely did.
Like, so we love the talking and analyzing and all that kind of stuff. And we resisted Tiger King for a little bit, because it seemed like one of those things that just wasn't for us. Like, I don't love stuff that makes fun of the American South. I don't love stuff that it seems predatory. I don't love any of that kind of stuff. So, and that all seemed like what it was. And everyone that I knew that was watching it was on like quarantine where they were staying home all day, and I am not staying home all day. And so I was like, this is obviously just something that people are watching because they're staying home all day.
Yes, they have nothing better to do.
They have nothing better to do. And I was like, I have better things to do, like survive. And I was really judgy about it, won't lie, just transparent here. I was real judgy about it. And then we had some of our closest friends that were like, no, you need to watch this. Please watch this immediately. So John and I gave it we decided to give it one episode on a Sunday afternoon. We watched all 7 episodes in a row. We were going to cook dinner that night. We ordered takeaway. That is the level, because we just had to know what was going on.
Watching Tiger King.
I have so many thoughts and feelings.
Oh my God. Like, and it was a group chat on that Sunday where our friends were like, oh no, you have to watch it. And then Kristen and John started watching it, and like 2 hours later, they were like, we can't stop. And I was like, oh, because I was also skeptical. I am less of a reality fan, as we said, than Kristen and John. But I was like, Kristen was like, I want to talk about it. I was like, okay, I'll watch it. So,
and I wasn't a super pressury friend. I said, like, just give it a little bit. And if you don't care by the end of episode 1, then tap out.
Yeah. And I said group chat a selfie of myself, a selfie of me watching.
Which we have done for other shows, by the way, in this group. Like, that's a thing we do. So.
Because my face was frozen like this.
Yeah.
For like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I did not change my expression. And I was like, okay. And so I just took a quick picture and was like, I have to see this through.
Yeah.
I mean, so many things happen in this show that we could talk about.
So sociologically, here's a couple things that I would say, like, from our perspective as talking about society and people. Yeah. Tiger King is a big deal because we are all at home. It is also a big deal because it is dramatic and engrossing and has absolutely nothing to do with a pandemic.
Correct.
And it is a world that probably 90% of the world's population has never even thought about, much less interacted with.
Had no idea that it existed at all.
None.
I mean, I've seen there's an animal park on the turnpike.
Oh yeah, that we drive by whenever we go to each other's houses.
That we drive by. So I knew there were, and I've always abhorred it because I know what it looks like, and I've seen pictures, and it looks like, Joe Exotic's place. Like, it's all animals in chain link cages. But I had no idea to the extent that existed in the United States.
Correct. So there's a lot, so there's probably like 3 categories of things real quick. There is the Carol Baskin, and did she possibly murder her husband? We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Then there's the fact that at least Doc Antle and Joe Exotic, I don't know about anybody else, but they're running a cult.
Yeah, predatory cults.
Predatory cult. And then we're going to talk about, I think, specifically how they're using drugs.
Yeah.
So we were fascinated by this documentary. In a lot of ways, we were grieved by it, I think I can say.
Yeah, it was parts of it were so hard to watch.
Part of it were hard because this is life for a lot of people that I've never interacted with. Mm-hmm. It is real easy to make fun of, and there are some really funny podcasts and TikToks and everything out there doing it, and that is all, again, however you find joy right now. Do no harm, then do you. But we want to focus on a little bit more of the holy shite stuff. So first of all, Carol Baskin.
Yeah.
Several things I have found out. One, when she's telling her backstory about how she met her now missing / deceased second husband. Yeah. She tells the story of how she was walking down Nebraska, the street in Tampa. Yeah. Evidently, the only people that walk down the Nebraska street in Tampa are sex workers.
So that was code that we didn't know was code.
Correct. So, and then there's some other things about that story, like he drove around a couple times. Like he said, is there somewhere we can spend the night? Like everybody who seems to know, like Tampa police officers have been like, oh, no, it's kind of known. Like Carol was a sex worker.
Right, okay.
Who was married at that point.
Yep, I remember.
She ran away from home at 14 because she was gang raped by neighbors. Her parents didn't believe her. And so she ran away from home at 14.
Oh, God.
Married her first husband.
Uh-huh.
Then while she was still married to her first husband, engaged in sex work.
Okay.
Just unpack what life must lead someone to make that kind of decision. Meets Dawn. Dawn is married to somebody else. She is married to somebody else. And they live together for 11 years before they get married.
Were they still married to other people?
For a lot of those 11 years, yeah, from what I understand. It took a little while to get divorced.
Crazy.
Right. So also, Dawn is not really talked about in the documentary.
No.
His person, we get a lot of his kids defending him, which cool. Like a lot of us defend our parents. Mm-hmm. Again, law enforcement have made implications that he's more of a Jeffrey Epstein fella than a guy who a lot of people at one point that one of the podcasts I was listening to was talking about how he's essentially from the Goodbye Earl song. Like nobody would have missed him if he hadn't been burying gold bars in his backyard.
Oh my God.
So it's the most likely, law enforcement seems to feel that the most likely outcome is that Dawn was killed by some sort of organized crime facility between Costa Rica and America. He actually had a farm. He had a ranch down there. He had a zoo in Costa Rica. He left once a month whenever Carol was menstruating because he demanded sex once a day.
Wow.
So no matter what your feelings are about this woman, I would encourage you to add survivor to your mental tags of her.
Yeah, I always
child has been through a lot.
I mean, there was some shady stuff that she did, but it was, she was so complicated because certainly at the beginning, she's really good at pulling you in.
She's a very calming voice. If I cared about big cats at all, I'm sure I would watch her YouTube channel. I don't agree with some of her business practices.
Yeah.
I don't think she treats the cats particularly well.
No, it didn't look good, did it?
It didn't look great.
But I had a bit more empathy for her than I did for Joe Exotic there.
Yeah.
Because people are complicated.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, that's crazy. You just told me all that stuff offline because I've not listened to these podcasts. That is mental.
Yeah, and I'm not like, like niffling truth on this. Like I haven't gone down like a conspiracy theory rabbit hole, which I very well might have in not COVID times, because this is the exact kind of thing I like to chase and be like, oh my God, hear everything.
Bonus points for the verb niffling.
Thank you.
Harry Potter.
But I am fascinated by specifically her as a person. Because I don't think I've ever heard of anybody who seems to just innately know how to survive and sell the same way that she does. Like her revenue stream from her YouTube is in the six figures.
It's nuts.
I love it. I'm like that's okay.
Nuts that she makes that much money off YouTube. But you know what?
I also love that she was somebody she and Dawn were involved in breeding.
Yeah.
And as she got more uncomfortable, she changed.
Yeah.
Like, whether or not you agree with any of her methods or all of her lobbying or anything else, and I certainly do not agree with her wardrobe, I like that there's evolution there.
I don't know that I can ever do animal print again in my life. I wasn't a big animal print person before this, but...
Now I'm always going to fear that I look a little like Carole Baskin.
I think Tiger King has put me off anything animal print for life. Literally forever.
So that's where I'm at on Carole.
Yeah. Yeah. She was fascinating and also horrifying, which is pretty much everybody on different levels. But I think for me, the most disturbing thing, aside from obviously at the top of the pyramid, is always going to be the treatment of animals.
Yes.
But like directly under that level of disturbingness for me was the way that specifically Doc Antle and Joe Exotic like formed these cults at their locations, and certainly brought in people from vulnerable populations at Joe Exotic's place, and Doc Antle certainly very good at convincing young women to give up their livelihood and work as enslaved people for like $20 a day or something.
Indentured servitude for sure.
Indentured servitude, yeah, because they were paid, but they were paid like an unlivable wage and worked.
Paid in plastic surgery somehow, yeah.
And the weird bastardization of Eastern philosophy, and for Doc Antle, like that for me was one of the more disturbing things, where I was like, what is this intersection between like the occult and exotic animals, like, and big cats? Like, where is
the center of this Venn diagram? So,
I didn't even know that was a possible Venn diagram, but then it appears to have happened multiple times.
These COVID times have taught us so much, Erin. So much.
I was like, I did it. Oh, okay.
Oh, got it. So here's what we know about cults. We know that cults are founded because a very charismatic person is able to make a lot of vulnerable people feel like they're taken care of and feel like they are identified with more than their family of origin.
Yep.
So Joe's is built a whole lot around vulnerable people in regards to poverty, drugs, and sexuality, I think.
And incarceration.
Yeah. Sorry, I was putting that within poverty, and that was incorrect. So, because for instance, something else I learned from these podcasts is that the person who got their arm cut off, who was identified as a female in the documentary, is a trans individual who prefers he pronouns.
Yeah, because that's in the episode 8 with Joel McHale.
Okay, which I did not see. So, okay.
Because
that's a really important thing to have brought up, Mr. Documentary Maker.
Yeah. So Joel McHale like interviews Saf and asks him, like, you identify as a man, like, were you okay with, and he was like, oh yeah, it didn't bother me that much to be identified as a woman. And I was like, okay. It was such a weird thing. It was such a weird thing.
So, but lots of vulnerable populations, we have a video of Joe stopping somebody at a gas station and offering them money and saying like, and I think at first blush, that may seem almost heroic to some people, because these people are failed by the system. They're failed by every system. They're probably failed by education. They're probably failed by foster care at some level. They're probably failed by there is no like getting out of prison program in the United States if you like, unless it's a nonprofit.
Right.
So if you are under the impression that leaving prison is easy, we would like to dissuade you of that notion. But so it may seem very gracious, and it would be if that money didn't come with strings.
Yeah.
But it came with a string of being involved at Joe's, and that's not providing employment if the employment is half paid in potentially rotting meat.
And like you were never allowed to leave. Like his husbands were never allowed to leave the property.
Never.
That's not healthy.
No.
That's not helping people. That's controlling them.
Yeah, and then that segues really interestingly into another way that it seems that Joe was controlling people, which was through the provision of narcotics.
Yeah.
I do not on any level believe that his second husband was sober for a single frame of that documentary.
Oh no. And like it was just, and his mother was,
that poor boy's mother
was, if not high during the filming, in recovery.
She was in recovery because I think she was high during that video, and I think she's in recovery in the interview because you can like, it feels a lot more regretful.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like she's in a different place. That video that they show, the home video of her being there and being really happy, she was high as a kite to me.
That was so heartbreaking to see people, because like, I mean, people have agency to a certain extent, but like
addiction's a disease, man, and Joe preyed upon them.
He preyed upon people who had those vulnerabilities or those diseases and manipulated them into situations so that he wouldn't be alone.
Yeah. And again, people are complicated. He had a terrible upbringing. His coming out process is disgusting.
Yeah.
On behalf of other people. Like, Joe is still a human being who was treated abominably. And then Joe made decisions to take that pain and use it as a way to puppet other people.
Yeah. It was like profoundly disturbing to see.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say anything to the animal treatment because it's all obviously terrible. Like, that's like, if you walk away from any of this thinking that either Joe Exotic or Doc Antle is good to these animals, I cannot help you. And
or even Carol Baskin, like those.
She's not great either. True statement.
Those did not look like super great conditions.
Like, either. You want to rescue a big cat, fantastic. Then get them to a zoo.
Yeah, chain link fences and like flooded cages.
No,
not great.
No.
And especially if you're making that much money,
you're fine
on YouTube. Where is that money going?
Because it's not going to pay her staff because she doesn't have any. She just has legions of volunteers.
She has, yeah, that was crazy. How she like convinced all these people to volunteer and not pay anybody.
And to be clear, we're not using cult for her because people can leave.
Yeah, and like honestly, they were volunteering. So
they
are
volunteering. Like, there's people that are saying that she runs a cult. I do not feel like that is true.
No.
She is potentially a cult-like personality, and attracts. But there are animal people, capital A, capital P. People that feel more strongly about animals than they feel about other people are a very, very strong subsect of the United States population.
It's very true. That's very true.
I am not in that subsect.
Nope.
I love animals a whole lot. I think they're great.
I don't love them more than people.
I do not love them more than people.
Yeah.
I also do not appreciate being made to feel any level of empathy for PETA.
Right.
So that was an attack I didn't need.
Did not appreciate that, Tiger King.
Appreciate that, Tiger King.
It was like some good news and forcing us to like Joe Buck.
Oh my God. John Krasinski and I almost broke up over that. How can you force me to like Joe Buck?
Because I was so upset when he appeared and I was like, oh, you're going to ruin this video with Joe Buck. And then by the end of it, I was like,
damn it.
Yeah, so Tiger King, y'all. If you like reality TV, if you need an escape.
If you would like to think about people that you are potentially better than for 7 hours.
Yeah. It's been interesting. My mom and I have had a lot of discussions about it because she is not a person. She's not a big reality TV person, full stop. but yes, she watched like 20 minutes of it and she was like, I have no idea how you're sitting through this. So it's not everybody's cup of tea.
It's not. And like reality TV, and like this is the thing, right? That I think we all of this is a performance. So like Carol is performing, Joe is performing, all of it's performing. Yeah. Especially Joe's people who are on camera literally all the time. I don't think they probably have individual self-concepts anymore because they are always on camera.
Yeah.
And if you are somebody who can remember that and be fascinated by it, then I think reality TV can be really, really entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't find it fascinating that people perform, then you're not going to ever love it. Like, and that's cool. No judgment.
And it's not for you.
It's not for you.
So what else have we been watching to get us through?
So I've been watching lots and lots and lots of food TV. We have not watched anything scripted except for old episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Since this started. That's us. You're different though. You guys, I know, are watching more scripted stuff.
We do. We have been. So we watched the 3rd season of Ozark. If anybody out there has a Netflix account and has not yet seen Ozark and likes, kind of dark dramas, it's very, very good. Jason Bateman and Laura Linney are fantastic. All the acting is fantastic. And the 3rd season is a doozy. So we watched Ozark. We're watching Killing Eve. We binged Killing Eve one weekend because I hadn't seen the first 2 seasons. And the 3rd season started last Sunday. So that is also very, very good distracting TV. Brilliantly acted Jodie Comer and Sandra Oh. They're phenomenal. I understand now why everyone freaked out over Jodie Comer and like gave her all the awards. I agree. At the time I was like, what else have we been watching? Oh, we started Mrs. America last night, which is a show on Hulu about the campaign for the Equal Rights Amendment in the 1970s, with a lot of non-Americans playing Americans, which my mom found upsetting. But Cate Blanchett is producing it, and so then I think she decides that she gets to star as Phyllis Schlafly, who was the anti-ERA.
Yeah, she was. She had feelings.
She did.
So Cate Blanchett wants an Emmy, is what you're telling me.
She is a fascinating character, though. It's the first episode was called Phyllis, and we watched it last night, and it was all about Phyllis Schlafly. She's absolutely, I think she saw a political opportunity to gain traction, and she didn't. I saw an interview with the cast members, and they were like, what we wanted to show is that there's no monolith amongst women, and that women are really complicated. And so, there are a lot of people, even to this day, a lot of women that are upset or offended or off-put by their interpretation of feminism.
Yeah, very.
And there's a lot of feminists that are very antagonistic and very dismissive of women who do not make the same choices as them.
Correct.
Which is kind of anti-feminist, but that's a
story
for another day. But yeah, so it's her character is fascinating, and I'm excited to explore it. But like Rose Byrne is playing Gloria Steinem.
I approve of the casting. Again, I wish we would let Americans play Americans, but Rose Byrne can do an American accent, so that's acceptable. Yep.
She can. She's very good, and she looks like Gloria Steinem, I think. So
she does a little. They have similar bone structure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, not anything super dark. I can't do anything super dark unless I'm already invested. Like Ozark, I had already watched the first 2 seasons. Although I did watch Killing Eve, and that's about a serial killer.
Okay, I'm listening to a ton of murder podcasts, so.
Yeah, but it can't be too realistic. Like, I think that's enough of a nothing in my life is about hired assassins. So I think some sort of level of disconnect is necessary. But I know you are spending a lot of time playing video games, and we might have some viewers out there that are doing the same.
So many. So we have several categories of video games that I've been playing, and I'm jumping back and forth quite a bit. I can't lie. The first is I'm replaying The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt.
Nice. You guys finally watched Witcher, the series, right?
Yes, we loved it. It is a mess, but we loved it.
So good. Henry Cavill can be in all things.
Henry Cavill. My absolute favorite is Jaskier, who is in the game is called Dandelion and drives me insane. But Joey Battle.
Yeah.
His portrayal is so perfect. It makes me so happy.
It was great.
So we watched that all pre-COVID, in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Because again, it is a narrative mess. If you have not heard that, hear it from me. But it is still immersive and great, and I can't wait to see where season 2 goes if we ever get one. So,
video games, Witcher.
The Witcher is one of those games where you could easily put in 120 hours and not be done. So it's immersive, it's massive, it's what's considered, for people who don't know video game parlance, it's considered a sandbox game, which literally just means they hand you a sandbox and you get to play in it.
Oh, right, okay.
So there's a huge plot, a massive plot that involves lots and lots of missions and characters and fantasy and someone being a chosen one. But then there's all these like side missions that you can go on. And I'll play for 3 or 4 hours and never ever do anything on the main plot. I'm just wandering around gathering herbs, helping villagers, killing monsters. It's all very calm. The other one like that I play is Dragon Age. I play the Dragon Age series and I play the BioShock series. So if you are somebody who likes those, I have actually presented academically on BioShock Infinite. I have a lot of academic feelings on BioShock. Feel free to come talk to me.
It does.
I'm also playing all of the Lego games.
Nice. Lots of people are building Legos.
Yes, and there's a show on Netflix called Lego Masters.
Oh.
Too, that we think we're going to start in a little bit, because it's like people building really, really like massive structures out of Legos.
Yeah, because randomly, Stephen Colbert had Daniel Radcliffe on, and Dan Rad and his girlfriend have been building Legos.
Love it.
And he like showed him they had built the gate for Jurassic Park and the T-Rex. Or Raptor, sorry, the Raptor. It doesn't really matter. And then Jimmy Fallon had Anna Kendrick on, and she's been building Legos, and she was like really wanted to show off her Millennium Falcon, and she did. So like lots of Legos are really big for COVID times.
Oh, good to know. So I've been playing the Jurassic Park Lego, but I've also been playing the Avengers and Marvel. There's like 3 big games and then a whole lot of like smaller stuff in between it. And that's another one where like it's not sandbox, because you do have to play the main plot. But then once you play the main plot, it turns into a sandbox and you can kind of do a whole lot of other stuff. So I fly around Manhattan saving Stan Lee over and over and over again, because he just keeps getting himself into predicaments.
Fiery little rascal, that Stan.
Little wee rascal. So video games are really important for me because they are multi-sensory.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's a lot of other people that are like that. There was a big article in the New York Times, actually the first week of COVID, that was like, this is actually the time to be playing video games. Stop judging yourself. Because it is video and audio, and I'm doing something with my hands, and that's really important for me. I sometimes play them on mute and I listen to podcasts while I'm doing it. There's this one game called Disneyland Adventures that I think I played 4 times, where you literally just wander around Disneyland and do missions for Mickey. Mm-hmm. It's made for 7-year-olds. I love it. And it's very meditative. There's another really popular one right now called Stardew Valley. You may have heard of. You may have also heard of Animal Crossing.
I've heard a lot of people talking about Animal Crossing.
So Animal Crossing is just on Nintendo Switch.
Gotcha.
So if you don't have a Nintendo Switch, you cannot play Animal Crossing, and you cannot get a Nintendo Switch right now for love or money.
Nope.
But you can play Stardew Valley if you have a computer. It's available through Steam, which is the online gaming platform in a way that you can download to play on Mac or PC. If you are somebody who likes really simple things with low stakes and yet like
a sense of accomplishment,
Stardew Valley is perfect for you. There is you can't really die. If you die, the biggest consequence is you lose 50 coins. Isn't a big deal. You are placed in a place called Stardew Valley, and your job is to manage a farm. You are welcome. It is incredibly meditative. I've been playing it for years, and it's really great. John made fun of me for it, and then started his own farm.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, like, it's just incredibly, we forced Aaron to be in the room while we have played it several times.
It's fine. They put it on mute, and we listen to classical music, and I read my book.
It's great. And I just, like, wander around fishing. It's wonderful. So
Planting turnips. It's fine.
Planting so many turnips. I'm planting turnips again right now because I'm in spring.
Season.
Yeah, there's seasons and there's missions and there's like all this kind of other stuff. So they are really low entry options. There's also tons on your phone. There's lots and lots of games where you have to, do match 3 and rebuild a mansion. I really like Lily's Garden for that. Then there's like Candy Crushy type ones. I like Best Fiends. There's lots and lots of options for gaming right now. And it does engage a different part of your brain. We know science has shown this, that the decision-making part of your brain that needs to, especially in crisis, like we are all in right now, where you need to make a decision that is low stakes and yet a decision. Gaming can be very, very helpful for that. It's one of the reasons it's helpful for me. I get really tired of making decisions at the end of every day, but I still feel this like need to accomplish something. Cool, I can accomplish killing a dragon. And it feeds that bit of my brain that helps. So that's one of the ways that I've been coping. My husband has been playing through Uncharted, by the way, and The Last of Us on PlayStation for anyone who loves those. And I think he also just got Fallout 76 for the PlayStation. So we are in different rooms in our house because socially distancing is for mental health sometimes too.
It is. We all need our own time.
All need our own times. So I'm on the Xbox, he's on the PlayStation, and we text each other back and forth.
Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes. Similarly,
we're not going to be covering snack food in this series, but we want you to know that snack food has also been a part of our coping.
We got a donut delivery yesterday. That was exciting. A friend of mine bought like a dozen donuts and he didn't want to eat all of them. So he just drove around dropping off donuts on people's porches.
Amazing.
I got this text message was like, do you want some donuts? I was like, yes.
Yes. Yeah, we're eating donuts for our employees. I'm doing that tomorrow, actually.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we drove past Dunkin' Donuts the other day when we went to go get Panera and Mom was like, donuts.
Yeah, I pass a Krispy Kreme on my way in. So with a drive-through, which is good because I understand that there are places that you can get out these days. I'm not doing that. If you don't have a drive-through, I'm not frequenting your establishment.
I know. I was nervous about Panera, but like they have it all blocked off.
Okay.
And it's just where you pick up. Like they moved their like online order, shelf to the front door, and you just walk in and grab the bag with your name on it.
That's what Chipotle does. Yeah, that's not bad.
There was not a person within 15 feet of me.
Okay, good to know.
But I thought they were going to bring it out to the car because the communication wasn't great. And I was like, well, do I have to go in? And I was like, put on my mask. And I was like, oh. And then I went in and I was like, oh, okay, it's fine.
No.
Oh, the joy of
and that's all I got on this edition of Coping with the Good Doctors.
Yeah, if you guys are watching anything on any of the streaming services, give us a shout.
Or playing anything, we'd love to know.
Or playing anything, yeah. There's loads of options of both, as we have discussed. If you want to have a chat about Tiger King, hit us up in the comments because clearly we have a lot more to say about it. And we'll be talking about it for a while. But yes, that is everything I have to say. I have no idea what we're talking about next week. It might be movies. We'll talk about something and how we're coping. Maybe it'll be movies and food. I don't know.
Guys, we are all in this together.
We are. Including
the confusion.
So we hope wherever you are in the world, you are as safe and as healthy as possible. Be well, everyone, and we will see you all next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.